Hi, my name's Mark House. Been a gun owner since I was a fairly young guy. First got introduced to, I guess like a lot of folks, BB guns when my grandmother first bought me one. But she made it really clear when I picked up that first BB gun, never to point it at anybody else. Keep your finger off the trigger unless you're actually pointing it at something that you want to shoot. And when you pull that trigger, you should expect whatever's there to die. Which sounds a little harsh as I say it right now, but I think that's a useful thought as we're thinking about how we store guns. She also made sure that I understood never to store it loaded. So that started when I was probably 9 with my first BB gun, which may be a little young. And then it's progressed all the way through. So I think when we go to store your gun, I think you need to think about who you're storing it, who you're protecting when you store it. Right? So a lot of times we think about guns as being something that we own to protect ourselves, and I don't think that's wrong. I think there are moments when that is absolutely the case. It's one of the primary rationales for owning a firearm. But I think just as likely, or part of our conversation always needs to be, who are we protecting when we store it properly? So just to give a little background on my own practices, and hope that's some use to some other folks as they're thinking through this. So I own a lot of firearms, above 20. I would have to stop and count to think through all of them, which is probably startling to some folks to begin with. But to gun owners who collect, who hunt, who use them for different purposes, that's not an unusual number. So those guns are stored in 3 different locations. So I have the majority of them stored in a lockable safe where I have the gun stored separate from the ammunition. Right, and that's the majority of the weapons that I own. I also keep 2 other safes. Both of them are biometric. Both of them have my fingerprint on them. And I use those 2 for self-defense purposes in my apartment. I live in an urban area, New York City, permitted legal gun owner. In the biometric safe, one of them is small. I keep a handgun. And in the other one, it's a larger safe for a long gun, which stores a shotgun. And I keep both of those accessible and ready. I actually had an incident some years ago where somebody was trying to kick down my front door, and I was able to retrieve the weapon. People have asked me, people at the shooting range and other friends and family who are also gun owners said, how much longer did it take to get that gun because you had it locked away? And I said, realistically, I think it was probably an extra 2 seconds. Right? So somebody's trying to kick my door down. I moved back to where the guns were, hit the safe, opened it, chambered around, moved back into a room, retreated back, and started yelling for them to get away from the door, yelled that I had a weapon, that I would use it, they needed to get away, get away, get away. So I think when we're thinking about safe gun storage, what does that extra 2 seconds give me, right? I'm a dad. I've got a 10-year-old. It gives me knowledge that she's not going to easily access that firearm to show a friend, to show off, to be cool. As she ages, if she has some depression, keeps her from having an easy way to end her life. So that extra 2 seconds is absolutely worth it to me. I want to be able to access my firearm, but I also want to be able to keep my family safe. Thanks. Hope this helps you as you're making your own decisions.